All right, free radicals, welcome back to the Radical Independent. My name is Dave. I'm not, just to be clear here, unlike some progressive pundits and commentators who are probably going to dive headfirst off of the Tulsi Gabbard Express, I'm not going to do that based on this video. I am definitely not all that warm and fuzzy, like excited over it, though. Tulsi Gabbard, this is on her page. Okay, so just so you know, there's Tulsi. She's got 104 subscribers, 104,000, which is pretty good. And this is the commentary here. Hashtag nonpartisan. Yeah. Ellen's message about being kind to all is so needed right now. Enough with the divisiveness. We can't let politics tear us apart. There are things we will disagree on strongly and things we agree on. Let's treat each other with respect, aloha, and work together for the common good or the good of the people. Now, Ellen DeGeneres, if she ever had Tulsi Gabbard come on her show, she'd probably ask a question about Tulsi's past and her views on LGBT rights, or she might ask her about her relationship with Assad or Modi, and her audience wouldn't understand those questions, by the way. So it'd be interesting to see. Or maybe she wouldn't ask her anything about that stuff. Maybe she would ask about what living on Hawaii is like, or some other ridiculous, nonsensical thing. So the reaction across the spectrum, progressive spectrum, independent spectrum, has been one of complete and utter disdain for what Ellen DeGeneres did. She basically cozied up to a guy who many think is a war criminal. And Tulsi Gabbard went to war based on false intelligence. Initially not false intelligence, but then we shifted our focus to a war that we should have never fought. So George W. Bush essentially lied to get us into a war that we're still fighting today. I would have just, if I'm advising Tulsi Gabbard, and I'm not, but I'm going to do it right now, I would just say stay away from this. You should have stayed. You can still pull this video down. It's only been viewed 2,700 times. Yours truly can get that many views on a video once in a while. It's only been viewed 2,700 times, and look at your ratio. You got, and this is on a Tulsi Gabbard post. I've never seen this. You got 367 dislikes and 253 likes. And I didn't like or dislike it. I don't want to add to what appears to be maybe a little revolt or mutiny. By the way, the comments aren't so great either. Haven't we all been kind to Bush? He's not in prison for his atrocious war crimes. There is a disagreement, and then there is killing 250,000 civilians in a war based on lies. I mean, seriously, why can't we treat war criminals with civility? Let's all just get along. I can forgive Tulsi for this, can't ever forgive Bush for war crimes, destroying our economy, rigging an election, and too much other stuff to name. Wrong side of the fence, Tulsi. And I get where people are coming from on this. Again, I'm not like other progressive commentators, because I'm not really a progressive commentator. I'm an independent-minded commentator. Hence the name of the channel is The Radical Independent. I'm not on a progressive box. I am not the progressive outlet for progressiveness. Okay, I'm just me, and I call them as I see them. This was probably a mistake. All right, and again, as the gentleman says down here, I can forgive Tulsi for this. Let's listen to Ellen. Yeah, let's just, in case you haven't heard it, I'm sure you've heard it.
This weekend, I went to Dallas for the Cowboys game. During the game, they showed a shot of George and me laughing together, and so People were upset, and they did what people do when they're mad. They tweet, and but here's one tweet that I loved. This person says, "Ellen and George Bush together makes me have faith in America again." And exactly.
All right. My gut reaction to that is it's a distraction. This is just a distraction. She needs viewers, by the way, who wouldn't normally watch her. Now they're going to go watch her because she's said that she likes their neocon president, who many of these people say, oh, look, she's palling around with George W. Bush. Maybe I'll watch Ellen, even though I disagree with her on her stances on like gay marriage or whatever it is. I can go watch her now. And this is all about money. It's all about ratings, and it's all about money, and it's all about classism, elitism. You know, she's in the luxury box, and she's bragging about the stadium and the fancy people she knows, and the rest of us who are trying to make ends meet and go to the supermarket and not spend more money than what's in our checking account, this ain't going to help us. All right? This is just... And by the way, Tulsi, there are other ways to comment people on civility. I think a better way right now, and I guarantee you that, and she made a little joke about whistleblowers, and then she said, oh, the referees in the game. She's all for impeaching Donald Trump, I bet. I bet you she thinks that's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But, you know, and because George W. Bush, when he was in office, he didn't tweet any mean things to anybody. He didn't try or attempt to stand up to the establishment. And look, whether you think Trump just did that all for an act, even Trump pretending to stand up to the establishment is way better than having the most corrupt and establishment-oriented president ever, who just rode the coattails of every military general and said, I'll do whatever you guys think is right. And look what happened to us. And it's still happening because we're still sending soldiers out there. Trump could, man, I'll tell you what, Trump could solidify a lot of support if he said, you know what, we're bringing all the troops home, not only from Syria, but from Afghanistan and the Middle East in general. We've been there for 20 years. Let's just call it a day. All right? He would get a lot of support, and he could still do it. Or he could start a war. Since he's probably going to be impeached in the House, he could start a war, and then he'd be looked at as some great president. And the rest of us, again, are still holding our hands out going, when is that money ever going to come back home? When's it going to... And this is why I support Tulsi Gabbard. The weirdest thing is this is an issue that is the cornerstone of Tulsi Gabbard's campaign. So I'm a little confused as to why you would waste any time talking about this other than if you look at it from the perspective of Trump derangement syndrome, which Ellen would be somebody who has it. Rosie O'Donnell, by the way, loved this, which shows you. Because they all look, there's a real president, George W. Bush. You guys hated George W. People forget. George W. Bush, when he gave his last speech to the press corps, he was borderline Donald Trump. He didn't call him fake news or anything like that, but he was angry. And he was angry. And these guys at the time, they probably disliked Bush for the wrong reasons. But some of them thought that Bush had lied and got us into a war. And some reporters at the time were probably talking a lot about the economic problems, which Bush exacerbated and then handed off to Obama, who, by the way, continued those exact same prescriptions as far as fixing or postponing the devastation, too big to fail crap. I don't know. This sends us on because then for me to defend Tulsi here, I have to jump through a lot of hoops. The only thing that I might agree with in this is there's a hint at, I'm not going to cancel you because I don't like what you're saying. That's the only thing out of this I can take as a positive. And if she had said something like that, then I would have had more respect for both her appearance and also for why Tulsi would post this. Tulsi might use this as a teachable moment for her constituents and so forth. I have to just gently disagree with the person who is the object of this love from Ellen, which is a guy who many think is a war criminal. I just can't reconcile that one. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop supporting Tulsi Gabbard. But if this was about the cancel culture where, again, free speech goes out there and you disagree with it, even if you think it's a quote-unquote conspiracy theory, because that anybody can do this. Rachel Maddow's doing it every night, and people aren't really upset about it. They watch, they tune in. If Alex Jones, who, YouTube doesn't like Alex Jones, and they don't like him because he's obviously part of what they believe to be some kind of conspiracy theorist. And once you start to ban something, people start to wonder, so why are they banning this? Is it something I should go and find and watch? What are they saying that's worthy of them getting booted from this entire platform? So, in any event, and by the way, I'm not defending Alex Jones and what he says. I'm just saying, if, you say something controversial, you should still have a way to do banking online. You should be able to conduct a business and do transactions. If people don't like what you're saying, they're not going to patronize you. So it all works. That's when the free market might actually work a little bit. And again, I'm not trying to build up a pure free market. That's not what this video is about. This video is about Tulsi using this again, and I'm not sure it was a good idea. But it doesn't mean, folks, that I'm jumping off the Tulsi train. And if you're watching me thinking, Dave, try to be positive about Tulsi Gabbard, I am. I am being positive. I'm thinking that she was trying to use this to show others that if you disagree, you can't just condemn them and try to block them from society. The problem is this isn't really what Ellen is saying here, and this is not the right example to use in that case. You would have been much better served using, Julian Assange would have been a great example, and I know Tulsi has stood up for Julian Assange, but that's when you start to think to yourself that you can really make a difference with showing people, giving them an example. This one, really tough for me. Really tough for me. I still love Tulsi, and I'm still 100% on board with Tulsi Gabbard. But a lot of folks, again, check the ratios here and check the comments. Not really something she should have even waded into. But that's just my opinion. All right, done. See you soon. Thanks for supporting via Patreon and PayPal. I need all the support I can get these days, even though the videos mostly are being monetized. I don't think I'm on the top of the list as far as recommendations go, and revenue is way down from 2 or 3 weeks ago. So whatever you can do to chip in, a couple of bucks here and there. I'll put my email address in the description of this video. Keep in mind, I'd prefer you just to use that email for PayPal and not to send me, long messages, which people have been doing lately. I just don't have the time, believe it or not. I have very limited time. So thanks again, though, for those of you who watch. Talk to you soon.